one of the big issues is using this live edge. I don't have the greatest clamping surface to be putting pressure on. It's going to be kind of a skewy, you know, it's going to be kind of weird. So to keep everything kind of aligned and not have to do a ton of you know, plane work basically after this. I could maybe run this through my drum. I could probably run this through my drum sander afterwards, but I frankly don't really want to. It's pretty big and it just doesn't, you don't need to do that. I don't like doing that stuff. So I'll probably just clean it up afterwards, after it's glued. You know, I want to get, hopefully I'll get the glue line, any squeeze out off in the correct amount of time. I always kind of forget. You walk away and 30 minutes goes by and the stuff's already dry, but I'm going to try and clean it up as best I can at the right time to get the glue off. And with these dowels, hopefully it'll keep it pretty well in line so that I don't have to come back and do a lot of resurfacing basically to get everything even. So I don't know if you're new to drilling or, you know, the doweling jigs. Most people probably are pretty aware of these. These things are great. All you do is, you know, I'll take these two panels. I've already marked everything up on this, but all you do is you take your boards that you want to glue up. I put a little carpenter's triangle on here to kind of align where I want it, and all you literally do is just mark a line across the two pieces. You use that as your guide, and then when you set this up, there's little marks in here, and this thing has its little drill bushings. So what it does is it allows you to drill a straight hole, number one, but it also allows you to line up your holes accurately. And you know, so when I hit both of these sides, because I just marked right across the board, it's dead accurate. So it's a really simple way to get joinery if you don't really want to have to, you know, cut mortise and tenons, or, you know, do whatever, like, you know, some other kind of more technical joinery. This is by far one of the easiest ways to do it. I think this jig cost me about 40 bucks, something like that. And I think it's, you know, it's really something that, you know, is very useful, I think, in pretty much most people's workshops. So if you don't have one, you know, you might look into it, because it really kind of saves you a lot of time, especially on panel glue ups. It's basically the original domino. It serves kind of the same purpose. It's a floating tenon in a sense. You're just using round tenons, but it pretty much serves the same purpose, and most of the way you mark things and the way you do things is pretty similar to the domino. Now the domino has, you know, it can do a lot more than one of these things, but for simple edge joinery and stuff like that, this thing works really great. This is actually working a lot better than I thought. It's just working like a simple clamp up, so I just wanted to kind of test it. This is a dry fit just to see how everything's pulling. The joint seems to be pretty tight. I'm pretty happy with this. So I'm gonna pop the clamps off, I'm gonna glue it up, and then we'll have a panel pretty soon. Alright, so I got things glued up. It's been long enough to pop them out of the clamps. I'm going to leave them before doing anything overnight to make sure the glue's fully cured. But in the meantime, I got a lot of defects that I need to fill with CA glue, possibly epoxy. So I just wanted to kind of cover a couple things with that. So what I'm using is, although this bottle's actually mislabeled, it's the CA, or I mean the Stickfast thin. So they have a lot of different types. I think they might even have a super thin, which frankly that's not a bad choice either. It dries really quick. Thin's good enough for me, but what you want to do is just flood any cracks, any knots, anything that you don't want to come out. So, and I got quite a few defects in this thing. Now, a couple other things. I'm applying a ton of CA glue to these things. These knots are huge. There's a lot of CA glue all over the place in this area, and I got to be honest, my eyes are burning. So I recommend using gloves. You know, get anything you don't want stuck out of the way. Obviously, this is not a very good example, but for the most part, I'm keeping everything but the clamps out of harm's way. And keep, you know, a fan blowing. Do something. Open windows, depending on how you have things set up. If you're in a basement shop and there's no ventilation, I mean, you got to really watch out. This stuff is, it's burning my eyes right now, and I've been blowing a fan and all kinds of stuff. So just be careful when you're doing this. But a couple other things. there's a few things that are going all the way through basically, and frankly it's going to come out. And I could maybe epoxy it in there, but even that I don't know that it's going to stay. So I think I'm probably actually just going to knock out this one right here. This stuff is just, it goes all the way through. It's nasty. So I'm probably knocking that out completely, and then I'm just going to probably put a little bit of CA glue around the edge just to make sure nothing moves afterwards. And I'm probably just going to leave the hole there. That's not really going to affect anything. So like I said, CA glue, what that does is it's supposed to absorb in, and you're trying to lock the fibers on the inside from doing anything. If you have pretty big voids, I got a bunch of cracking here. I'm actually going to fill that with epoxy. I'm using the slow set stuff that's super thin, and I'm going to just pour it on there, let it sit overnight, and that stuff is gap filling, and it'll close up those cracks and hold everything together. So the mixture of the CA glue and epoxy pretty much makes this thing bulletproof, and you should be pretty safe to, you know, have knots and have things, defects that could, without any help, fall out or cause, you know, some problems down the road. This should pretty much keep you pretty well safe. So like I said, when you're using this stuff, watch out. Your eyes are going to burn. If you breathe this stuff heavily, it's going to burn your lungs even. So watch out. Be careful. Wear gloves. Don't get stuck to anything, and you should do good. All right, so this board is sat overnight where I was filling the epoxy, and I just wanted to kind of share a little bit of a tip. Don't use a piece of sandpaper. I kind of forgot. Well, I kind of knew, but I wanted to see. This is 80 grit, and it just loads the paper up. It really doesn't do anything. It's not effective at all. So you're going to trash your sandpaper, and you're not going to get any results. So pick up a card scraper. These things are really inexpensive. Lee Valley sells them. You can get old ones from, you know, swap meets and stuff like that. I forget what number they are, but it's just a cabinet scraper, and it's basically kind of a hybrid card scraper, you know, just the piece of metal that you use to scrape, and a plane. You got the sole, flat sole underneath, but it's using pretty much a card scraper. It's a little bit thicker than most card scrapers, but you're gonna sharpen it the same way as a card scraper. Just roll a hook over. But this thing will cut through the epoxy like butter, and you know, you're not going to be sitting there wasting. I mean, I could maybe get through if I switch the paper out, the sandpaper, like literally probably every minute. I might start actually putting a dent in some of this stuff, but this thing just scrapes it right off. So just a little tip. I'll show you kind of how well it works. Get over here. You know, it just cuts it right off. Whereas the sander was just leaving junk. It wasn't doing anything. It wasn't cutting it. It was just kind of running over it. So card scraper is the best way to go with this stuff. And frankly, if you're not really a hand tool, user, but you'd like to not sand, basically, this is a great tool because it doesn't give you the tear out issues. You know, I'm not that comfortable with hand planes. I'm not going to take a smoother to try and finish off a project. I'm going to pull out a sander because I got a 100% success rate with the smoothing planes. Because I don't use them and I'm not that good at tuning and sharpening them, I get tear out all the time. So, but this thing, you're not going to get tear out. It'll fix, you know, like this joint right here. I had some glue and it was not, you know, dead even. It'll take that thing down to even in, you know, two swipes probably. So card scraper is a good tool to have. Now, one other little tip with this, if you're using this to cut epoxy or something like that, resinous and sticky, the sole is going to probably build up with some of that junk because you're running it over that. It'll kind of, the friction will kind of pick it up and it'll kind of get it all over your plane. That's another reason why I'd recommend using a cabinet scraper rather than, you know, one of your good hand planes. It ain't gonna hurt it necessarily, but this is a lot easier to clean up. So all I do is every once in a while I'll stop and I will just take some acetone to the base of this thing and it'll pull all that epoxy or anything like that off. So don't be worried if you see this. You're really not hurting it necessarily, but All you got to do is hit it with some acetone, probably naphtha, any of the solvents, mineral spirits should cut this off and clean up your sole. So easy to use.